This is Rants from a Crazy Gen Xer. My name's Natalie, and I'm your Crazy Gen Xer. Today, let's talk about the skanky fucking Israelis. Sure, the ceasefire. I don't believe it for a minute, but at least aid is getting in, and the people of Gaza can actually have food, which is, I'm very happy about that. Okay? Do I think it will hold? No, I don't. But it wouldn't even matter if it would or not. If you look at what is going on in the West Bank and how they're raiding towns, they're blocking off villages, saying they're now military zones, while they're hanging out in these people's homes, sitting on their furniture. They've dragged their furniture out of their homes into the yard where they sit their nasty, dirty asses. And if you ever looked at them settlers, they look like they haven't bathed in weeks. They all look nasty and disgusting and dirty. Just a savage beast is what they look like. But if you look at what's going on there, they're literally invading towns, taking up more land, stealing more stuff from the Palestinians. And as people sit there and they act like somehow it's the Palestinians who are wrong, I do not, and what really bothers me is that the Israelis want you to believe is the Palestinians are like Japan, when in reality, the Palestinians are like the Native Americans. I would be pretty appalled, and I believe most people would be living in the United States today, if the U.S. government decided it was going to just mow the lawn, essentially bomb Navajo nations, okay, and put up a wall around the Navajo nations where the people would not be able to get in or get out without approval from the United States. And nothing would be able to come in or leave Navajo nations without the approval of the United States. And then they put embargoes on them, saying that they're not allowed to have chocolate, or they're not allowed to have, ground beef, or they're not allowed to have anything, certain things. They're not allowed to have diapers. They're not allowed to have linen. They're not allowed to have formula. I do not believe that we as society would be okay with that. Because the truth of the matter is, the Palestinians are more like the Native Americans than they are Japan. Okay? So we might have had a war with Japan. Okay? And Japan was really, during World War II and before that, Japan really was running around terrorizing people. Okay? And in fact, if you read some of the history on it and the horrible things they did to the Chinese people during that reign of terror up there, it was pretty horrifying, Now, I'm not saying that Japan has always behaved properly, because they don't. No country has ever behaved properly. And a lot of countries are full of violence, okay? The United States was born out of violence. And the U.S. is still a very violent country today. We have a government who literally could care less about us as human beings. They see us as numbers, just like other places and people do. They see us as nothing but numbers. And that's, it's irregardless of whatever it may or may not be. I really don't know. Donnie the fucking Holocauster, the president of war there, is creating war everywhere. And as far as like all of that goes, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm never going to see Israel as anything but the terrorist nation that they are. They are terrorists. And if you look at those people, they're very much terrorists. They terrorize everybody. They're starting wars with Lebanon, Syria, Iran, Yemen, and we look at the Congo. Their weapons are being used to fight the people of Congo. They're the ones, it's these Israeli weapons that are killing the civilians in Congo, and forcing them into these little camps there too. I just don't understand why people don't see it for what it really is, okay? And I hear, like, these people, they come on, they're spokespeople, they go on, like Piers Morgan, and he hosts these people a lot. I think it's because he gets a reaction and his viewership goes up from it, which is whatever it is, it's fine. whatever. It's a very toxic environment over there, and that's fine too, you know. But what we have is we have people that are literally terrorizing everybody. And I mean, some people say, oh, Donald Trump's allowing all of this and doing all of this because he's afraid of getting JFK'd. You know, I don't really know the truth about it. But I truly believe that Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about us, the people, either. None of Congress does. They see us as just little numbers, okay? They don't see us as real live human beings, okay, with real lives. You know, they only see us as numbers. They don't care if a bunch of us die. That's why the government under Operation Northwood was ready and willing to murder U.S. citizens on U.S. soil and blame Cuba for it so that they could go to war with Cuba because they want a war with Cuba. They want a war with Venezuela too. Okay? This is the reality of it. Okay? This fucking warmonger, Donnie the fucking Holocauster, wants a war. All he wants to do is create war. All of our money goes to war. It doesn't go to benefiting us, the people. And if you look at like what a lot of other countries are doing, they're pulling their people out of poverty while the U.S. is dragging their people into poverty. They're creating new and innovative things. Like China just came out with bone glue. Literally, they can go in and glue your bones back together now. And they all also have the tallest bridge in the world. Okay, making a 2-hour commute down to 10 minutes. They're doing innovative stuff. The last time the United States did anything like that was the Hoover Dam. I mean, it's been so long that we've done anything in our country to benefit the people. Everything has constantly been for war, and we're constantly supporting war. We're constantly spending all the money on war or propping up the rich, okay? At the expense of the United States, okay? I wonder how much money the U.S. is going to have to spend to bail out the soybean farmers who, because of Donnie the Holocauster's tariffs, China is buying them from somewhere else. Argentina is a big competitor for U.S. farmers. And Donnie the Holocauster just gave $20 billion U.S. taxpayer dollars to prop up the Argentina government because they like him. And a lot of U.S. rich donors have bought a whole lot of Argentina bonds. And they need, and they're expecting their bonds to pay out. And so we, the taxpayers, have to fund that. All while we are going to have to fund the bailout of the U.S. farmers on top of it. So the $20 billion is just the initial cost. What is the additional cost for bailing out U.S. farmers from now until the future? Because they constantly bail them out. You know, and then you got Mike Johnson during this government shutdown saying, no, we're not going to pass a standalone bill saying U.S. military personnel get paid through the shutdown. Harming, and I don't know how this is going to go. I mean, we haven't had a paycheck lapse yet. We're coming up on the 15th here. Next week, we'll be on the 15th. And we're going to see what's going to actually come into fruition with this. This is going to see what the hell is actually going to happen. I don't know. I think they're going to fold. I think they'll fold before the 1st of November. But we'll see if that happens. I think that about a week in to military personnel losing their check, the Republicans will fold because they're constituents of all these Republican voters. Okay, the representatives for these Republican voters are going to, you know, have to do something. I guarantee you, Jeff Crank's office is going, his phone lines are going to be ringing off the hook. I mean, this is a military town. Colorado D5 is a military town. Okay? And while a lot of the military personnel do not have the right to vote in Colorado D5, they do live in Colorado D5. And he can sit there and act like, oh, well, I don't really care because they're not my voter base. That's fine. Because a lot of retired people and the spouses of them can register to vote and pick a different leadership, which we definitely need. Okay? In fact, my vote isn't going to anyone who supports the foreign nation of Israel. Not now, not tomorrow, not next year, not 10 years from now. It will never go to those people again. I don't care if they're on the right. I don't care if they're on the left. I don't care where the hell they sit. My vote's not going to them. I used to be someone who primarily voted for Democrats. Not anymore. Republicans want my vote. They're going to have to put somebody up that says no more money for Israel. I don't care if it's offensive. I don't care if it's defensive, because the truth of the matter is that their defensive weapons that they use those weapons to attack countries like Iran. And they use the fact that the United States comes to their aid every time to defend them with our weapons and our money and our personnel. All while these people murder us. In fact, there's a 14-year-old boy being held, U.S. citizen, being held in an Israeli prison, being tortured to death. Okay? He might not even get out. He's been in there for over a month now. His parents, and in fact his father, who is a U.S.-born citizen, is advocating for his release, and they keep holding him hostage. This child, this U.S. citizen child, is being held in a torture prison by the Israeli Netanyahu terrorist government. And Donnie the Holocauster doesn't care if they murder that child. They've already murdered U.S. children. He doesn't care. They're allowed to. And there's no accountability for it. No one is held responsible for this. You know? In fact, their people are allowed to come to the United States and solicit children and get children to travel to another state for sex. Children. And they let them go. That just happened in Vegas. They let that guy go after he tried to get a 15-year-old girl to come to Vegas to have sex. This is the shit that these people are allowed to do. And people act like, oh, well, this and that. I'm going to tell you something. If you look up the Operation Northwood, you will see that our government is willing to kill U.S. citizens and to blame somebody else as, false flags. And how many times have they done it since? Did they murder Charlie Kirk? I don't know. Candace Owens believes so. And I'm starting to believe there's something very off about this. And that Tyler Robinson kid did not kill Charlie Kirk. I mean, he's probably, even if he did, the amount of crap that has come out since then, I can't believe that he did. He'll probably get off. Even if he did do it, he would probably get off because it's been handled so poorly. But besides that, there's so many holes in that story, okay? There's so many lies being told about that story. I don't believe any of it. I don't believe the government, and I believe that Donald Trump gave the orders saying that it was okay to do it. And people are like, oh, well, he liked Charlie. I don't care if he liked him. He likes his own grandchildren. But he does not care about his grandchildren enough, because his grandchildren will have that mark of Holocauster on them for their entire lives, their children's lives, their children's children's lives. This will be generational for them. They will essentially become Hitlers. The Trump name, the Kushner name are Hitlers. From now until the rest of time, those are the Hitlers of the modern era. Trump name, Kushner name are Hitlers in the history books from now till the end of time. They have that same mark of the beast, the same mark of Holocausters. And I say mark of the beast because they are beasts. These are the people who are really harming the citizens of our country. They murdered JFK. And Johnson allowed Israel to murder 34 U.S. soldiers. In fact, Johnson was willing to murder himself. Almost 300. It was 294 U.S. Navy soldiers to protect Israel. He was willing and ready. The only thing that saved him is Egypt. Egypt saved the USS Liberty, and that's the truth of it. So, these people are constantly willing to kill us to protect their bottom line. And I think that's something that we all need to think about. So did Mossad, with the approval of Donnie the Holocauster, kill Charlie Kirk? I don't know. But I think it's very likely. And it seems like, everything we see, I'm telling you, I can't put it past our government to do this. They bombed U.S. homes, literally. I think it was like in New Jersey or something. They bombed the home of a U.S. citizen, literally. They used the military and bombed them. Donnie the Holocauster is out there in Chicago using Black Hawk military to invade an apartment complex, rip children from their beds, and handcuff them in their diapers for hours. And they say, oh, it's because of undocumented immigrants. The truth of the fucking matter is that they're all responsible for all of these undocumented immigrants. It's the rich people who benefit from the undocumented slave labor. And it's both Republicans and Democrats who use this immigration status of these poor, destitute migrants who they destroyed their countries and caused all of this migration to begin with. But it's them, they use these people to keep us fighting each other. Your neighbor, no matter who your neighbor is not your enemy. Your U.S. government is. Never forget who your real enemy is. Rants from a crazy Gen Xer. Again, my name's Natalie, and I am your crazy Gen Xer.